It's Beltane in Idlewild. Sacred holiday marks the point between equinox and the solstice. Yeah? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's on the X. We're almost there. It's the entry into summer. 25260 Tahquitz Road. We are on a mission to green this mountain and to keep it green. So enter and you'll see what we're doing. So, the property is on a slope. Of course, it's probably 25-30 degrees all the way. And luckily, there is a source of water that comes from above the property and pours down. So what we've done up at the top of the property is to create a little swale to bring the water to both sides. There are two sides with the house in the center. And along the house, there runs a spigot that drips. So the spigot that drips, we've put rocks in here. And these bleeding hearts are native. Yeah, I know, they just grow. They love to grow because there's a little source of water. So I planted some lettuce, which is popping up beautifully here. Let's just give them a little bit of water. Some heirloom lettuce. Right along here, that will be eventually fed by the gray water cistern up at the top. But right now, those little babies are coming out, and some nasturtiums over here, edible flowers in the sandy soil. They're going to like that. We've done lots of stump removal on this property. There were probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 old trees. We pruned this tree up. She's been really damaged. We're going to tape her up, but I excavated the root collar. I gave her a little bit of mulch in there, and I planted some beans and wildflowers to put some more nitrogen into the soil. And for summer, it's coming. But yeah, see these stumps to be removed. We didn't want to bring in heavy equipment or do stump grinding, so we're breaking it apart by hand. The carpenter ants are helping, of course, they do this naturally. We're pulling it down, digging it down to the base, and cutting the stump off underground, adding Epsom salts, which is magnesium sulfate, and then watering the stump because it will quicken the decomposition process. It's already a lot of mulch. So we're taking this and we're spreading the pine chips, over places on the ground that need mulching, because this is a very dry, arid, sandy soil. Yeah, the mountain. We're in Southern California, which is a desert, of course, but we're at 5,500 feet right here, high altitude, and it's arid. It's quite dry, and we are, of course, in the middle of a drought. So whatever mulching we can do is the best thing. So that's the natural stump removal that we're doing. See this yard full of grass? I hand cut this yesterday with 2 tools. I used a push mower, which is over there with the blades that you actually push and push. It's like a pec workout. And a hand thingy, like this hand thingy, the hand clipper. And I did that so I could see the ladybugs. Because this yard is like ladybug heaven. And the ladybugs are really important here because they eat, with a little research I figured this out, they eat black pine leaf scale. So I did plant more beans around the base of the hawthorn tree. And luckily there's a spigot just right here that when I turn it on, I've created a little swale going right in to the base of the hawthorn tree, all along the border. So basically we had to cut many lilacs. They wanted me to cut down all the lilacs. And I was like, you gotta be kidding, you've got thousands of dollars worth of trees and bushes here on this property. Someone lovingly put money and time and effort into. So we had about a pile, like 7 feet by 10 feet of lilac branches, freshly cut. And I thought, I'm gonna take these to the dump? I don't think so. I bought a wood chipper. Here's my wood chipper. I love power tools, really. I think permaculture is the best of all that ever came before, blended with and balanced with what's new, and makes life easier and doesn't compromise anything. I mean, we're using some fossil fuels. We're using some petrol, right? We're using some oil. But to keep all the mulch on this property and not have to buy truck beds full of mulch and drive here and there. I'm using less oil and gas in this thing without driving back and forth to not only pay to drop my mulch over at the dump and then have them compost it up and then buy it back. You know, like I pay twice to get the same thing as if I just bought the wood chipper. So that's what I did. My dad would be so proud of me. This property particularly, since it's on a grade, you know, about 20 degrees here at this level, all the water from the mountain runoff comes out of this property and tides in to this property and just bulldozes the house and the garage. And of course it created ruts and divots in the ground. And so, by hand, I shoveled a lot of dirt. And I bermed up from where this water would be coming. This particular little divot right here, we bermed that up, or I did. I shoveled all this and created a little swale that will run the entire length of the back of the property to hold the water that floods up into it. And we're going to plant on this, but at least it's not going to go in the garage or into the house. It's going to be carried right along here. Come follow me. Right along here to these beautiful lilacs and wild strawberries that were already here that I convinced them to keep. Why go buy strawberries when you've got wild strawberries growing right here, right? And fragrant lilacs in shade. As it is, we took out about 10 young pine trees and cedar trees, which are over here. I'll come back. So the water will come here and flood this area. This particular area is where I put the compost piles and the mulch piles from the chipper. This is all fresh lilac. This is all fresh lilac. And it's wet. It smells amazing. From the rain we had last week, this is still really wet, which is what mulch does. We've got some bark over here. So here's my trees that I saved. Some incense cedars, native to the San Jacinto Mountains in Southern California. And I put some vitamin B when I transplanted them and repotted them. This is a fir. And you know, I'm just looking for somebody who wants them. I put it out on Facebook. Anybody want some baby trees? And I've got a taker, so we'll deliver those. And you know, just leveling the property, stuff like this. That water that was coming down off the back of the property came all the way here and like created ruts and divots. And that won't happen anymore. Okay, so gray water. There's gray water coming out from here. It's leaving the house underground as it's supposed to by law. We also have a rain barrel set up here. The rain barrel has water in it from last week's rainstorm. So there is a lot, obviously, of water on this side of the yard. Because look how tall the grass is, and look how beautiful it is. And there's vinca, which is, it's a drought-tolerant plant, but it needs water to survive, definitely. And this is a fruit tree, and it's in dire need of pruning. It's never been pruned. And so we will prune it come autumn, when is a good time to prune, when the tree goes dormant. If I had followed what the owners wanted, we would have cut all this stuff down. And I tried to convince them, you have fruit-bearing trees on your property. They're providing shade. They're providing food. They're keeping your soil moist. They're holding the mountain together. Keep the fruit trees alive. So they're going to keep